Hello, I'm Penny Thornton, and welcome to my heads up for the week ahead. What's going on up there, and what kind of effect can we expect? Well, for the last couple of weeks, we've been um, talking a lot about planet Uranus, which is that great change bringer and the planet of shocks and amazement. And that's fading into the distance. But like Arnie, it will be back. But we're in Virgo territory this week. First, Venus arrives in the sign of Virgo, does that on Wednesday, and then the sun comes in on Friday. And although you may be listening to me and saying, well, what does that mean to me? I'm a Gemini. Well, we all have Virgo somewhere in our charts, and that means that that area of life is going to be really energized. That's a good way of thinking about it. And it's also a way of really getting to embrace the sign of Virgo because, as I said, we've got it in our own charts. And when the Sun and Venus and Mercury and Mars, pass through that area, the personal planets, then we get an opportunity to really understand what the sign is about. And it isn't really a sign that is so consumed with minutiae, but it is the sign of the craftsman. And Sun Virgos are very particular about everything they do being a reflection of the best they can be. And so we can translate that into our lives, that we get an opportunity to really focus on things that exemplify us and really want to be the best of ourselves. It's a little more complicated than that, but you can always go to my website, get on the audio there for the week, and you'll hear how these current alignments really affect your sign. Now, for Virgos, the sun has been in the 12th house for a few weeks now, along with Mercury and Venus and Mars. And the 12th house is a very mysterious area. A lot of astrologers kind of sideline the 12th house because it's the underwater world of the 12th house and nothing much seems to happen in there. But in my book, this is the powerhouse of the whole zodiac. And it's when planets are moving through that area that we seed things, that we seed the ideas that are going to become projects. And the unconscious is working very hard to sort of illuminate us to things that are on the periphery of our vision. So we are awaken to things. They stir the unconscious and they come out in dreams and intuitions. Now, having said that, the sun has come into Virgo now, so Virgos are coming out of the woods of the 12th house, so to speak. Librans are just about to go into it, so that for you particularly, it's a time of rest and retreat, a time to sort of let the noise of the world disappear from time to time so that you're really recharging your spiritual, your physical, and your mental batteries. And I'll talk about this from time to time. I don't want to spend all my time this week on that. I also want to look at the presence of Venus in a sign. Venus is the planet of love, the planet of good fortune. And when she connects with something in our chart, it's a good experience. We usually enjoy it. And sometimes that just means we have a very good time on that day. But sometimes it's really special and something really quite magical happens. So during the course of these next 4 weeks, Venus will make a connection with your sun in Virgo, and that will be a very good day. And in fact, it might be more than a day, it may be a period when a lot of good things are happening to you. And I'd like to draw in the opposite sign here, Pisces. For you Pisceans, the sun is moving through your 7th house along with Venus. So it's your time to celebrate all things of a Venusian kind. Maybe it's time for a special anniversary or just a few date nights with your significant other. But if you've been single and seeking for rather too long, then this is a time to really make an effort to connect with people with whom you can partner up. And to a sort of lesser extent, the Geminis and the Sagittarians also benefit most from this Venus transit. And again, I'll be talking about that a little bit more on the audio or when it's relevant to those two signs. Now, to come back to the idea that the last couple of weeks have been very Uranian, we've had Uranus center stage, there is a reason for that. The Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars are all grouped together. They're very close together. And back in July, when I was talking about the Saturn-Pluto conjunction and how the Sun and Mercury and Venus and Mars kept opposing those two planets, so it had a kind of rolling crisis effect. Well, that's really what's happening all the time now and will for the next few months, with all the personal planets grouped together. Every time they hit one of the more important slow-moving planets, you get a kind of rolling effect of events being sort of related to each other or the same kind of feeling about those events. Now, this is going to happen really in affecting the signs of the mutable signs, Virgo, Pisces, Gemini, and Sagittarius, because Neptune is in Pisces, which means the Sun in about 2 weeks' time is going to oppose Neptune. And then, of course, you'll get Mercury, Venus, and Mars doing it as well. If we cast our minds back a bit, Cancer, Capricorn, Aries, and Libra were very much center stage in July, and it was a pretty big month, not always in a good way for these signs. When we got to later July and for quite a lot of August, then Leos, Aquarians, Taurians, and Scorpios were in the center of events because of the planet Uranus, and that meant there was a lot of change and things that kind of came out of left field. So now looking at this grouping of Virgons, Pisceans, Geminis, and Sagittarians, especially if you were born around the 10th of your month, then Neptune becomes this very big player. Neptune is the planet of mist and murk. It's the planet of the divine and also of the deceptive. There's often a lot of spin. Smoke and mirrors happen when we've got a very strong Neptune. And that will go for events out on the world stage, which we hear on our news channels, but also in our own lives if Neptune is particularly connecting to something in our charts. And of course, I've mentioned those 10th of the month birthdays. Now, one of the things I think about a heads up is it isn't just a heads up for the next few days. It can be a little longer than that. And I would say that with Neptune, we get a lot of leaks. And that can mean a lot of information leaks, a lot of rumors doing the rounds. But also we sometimes get water leaks. And it's a good thing to be just aware now. We're about 2 weeks ahead of the first big Neptune effect. If you've got a dripping tap, get it seen to, because the chances are as soon as Neptune comes into play, that leaky tap will be a waterfall. And of course, it's a metaphor. It means that if you're sensing something is perhaps a little bit off, you're not making too much sense of it, you're a little worried about what it may mean, maybe somebody isn't talking to you, or maybe you're worried that you might not have enough money there for an important event or some bill that's got to be paid, now is the time to start looking into that. Get ahead of the game. So 12th house, I said I'd briefly mention that again. Not only is the powerhouse of the zodiac, but also when we do have that 12th house transit, and I'm really addressing Librans here, it is really important to get a little bit more rest and relaxation. And in a way, I think that's good for all of us as well. I certainly know from my own experience because I work a lot, I write a lot, I teach a lot, and I have a tendency to just keep on going to get something done. And sometimes the quality of my work and my general demeanor isn't quite what it should be, but all I have to do is just take a break, shut the noise off the world, a couple of early nights, just move away from my desk, whatever I want to do. And when I come back into dealing with the real world again, or whatever jobs or commitments I have, I'm much fresher. I come at it with a new kind of mindset. So all there is for me to say is have a great week in Virgo land. And I look forward to being here, seeing you this time next week. Bye for now. Do you have a burning question? Is something not working in your life? What do you really want? The answer lies in your horoscope, and it's my job to dig it out. Go to astrolutely.com, click on Ask Penny, and we'll take it from there.